welcome back to Your Hair Made Simple, where we encourage you to embrace your natural hair with clarity, confidence, and courage. I'm your host, Shannon, and I'm so excited for today's episode where I have Yelitsa Jean-Charles, the founder of Healthy Roots Dolls, with us to chat about her hair story, to chat about founding Healthy Roots Dolls, and to chat about being an innovator in the space of empowerment through play. So Yelitsa, I'll let you go ahead and say hello, and then we'll get started.
Hey, girlfriend. Thank you so much for having me, Shannon. I love everything that has to do with natural hair care, beauty, and empowerment. It's been part of my journey since graduating RISD, and even in my undergrad, learning how to take care of my hair and love my hair and having fun with my hair. So any opportunity I get to talk about that is a win for me.
I love that. And you already started into my first question, so I'm going to go ahead and just jump in with, what's your hair story?
My hair story is very lengthy. If I had to start from the beginning, my experience with my hair is a little bit different than most people. So I grew up in a Haitian household, and my mom knew how to braid hair. So I had my own internal braider. I always had the hook up, and she was really good at it. I remember she used to do like stars and hearts like on my scalp, like in the cornrows and stuff like that. And she'd be like, "Don't mess with crap." Yeah, I'm not doing that. With hard work. It was a lot of work. It was really fun. And I always had so much hair. I remember one time my cousin undid my hair, like, because he wanted me to look like Scary Spice, and my mom was so mad. But I never had any perms. And it wasn't until middle school and high school that I started getting Dominican blowouts. I started, messing with my hair. I'm doing the hot iron, the blow drying. What is hydration? What is weekly washing? Who knows? No, I'm just going to put, who knows what's that? More grease, more products, like trim. What's that? So I did not have a very healthy hair journey once I started to mess with my own hair. And it wasn't until college, because I felt the need to like manipulate my hair to make it look different. Because I was like, I don't want an afro. I don't want curls. I want to look like the women on TV. I want the pony the pantyhose is what I remember, like on my head, so I could have like long hair.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know if anybody else did that. And then in college, I started seeing women with very beautiful, like, afro hair and, like, dyeing it and braiding it. I was like, what are box braids? Like, I had never seen box braids in my family. Like, nobody ever did that. I didn't even know that had option.
Yeah.
So I got to learn a lot as an adult.
I love that. And so college is really the time where you started to, like, embrace your natural hair, like, learn how to style it for yourself and kind of, like, I guess, combat some of the maintenance that we've been doing in those years prior, huh?
Yes, because in high school, I was like, okay, I'm going to do extensions, like clip-ins. I never had like a sew-in, but I made my own clip-in because I was also savvy and a little cheap. I was like, why would I do this when I could do this? So I would buy the bundles and like sew on the little clip. And then in college, I didn't have I was in art school, I was at the Rhode Island School of Design. I didn't have the money, and there weren't a lot of Black people on campus to help me. So like there were no resources. I had to do my own hair. But I don't know if you remember this. That was around 2012.
Yep.
Moisture was popping off.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Shea Moisture was that girl. Everybody was using Shea Moisture. There was Shea Moisture. There was Carol's Daughter. There was Cantu. And I was like, let me see what this is about, because I had one particular friend who had really long, naturally curly hair, and she cut it all off. And I was like, girl, why you doing that?
What was the reason?
What the reason? And she said, I'd never seen what my, like, true texture looks like. I was like, that's so real. And that's when I realized I also didn't. And so I just stopped, like, straightening my hair. And I started trying to rock it curly. And I was using the Shea Moisture. I was using coconut oil. I didn't know what I was doing yet, but I was getting there. I was, like, watching all these influencers, like Natural 85. Like, I was getting all my information. Yep, YouTube University. And it was fun. It was so fun. I got to see like all the things my hair could do.
Yeah. It's something about going to college and being broken on your own, because I too. So it's very similar story. Like, I never had a perm, but I definitely heat damaged and dyed and fried, like not dyed, but like definitely fried. Heat damaged my hair a lot. And then I got to college and I was like, well, now here I am with you here. We're alone together. And I don't know what this means. And similar to you, like in one of our other episodes, Overcoming Being a Product Junkie, we talk about like that period in time where YouTube was really popping off, Natural 85, like all of the brands were starting to come out, and we were able to, learn and get more creative for ourselves and start that self-exploration, which is part of what college is all about. But like learning to embrace our hair in new ways, necessity is the mother of invention, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then fast forward, right? Like now you are the founder of Healthy Roots Dolls. So what was that process like, and how has founding Healthy Roots Dolls helped you to embrace and celebrate your own natural hair?
Well, it's related. So that the story of me going to college and having to figure out my own hair, like doing the tutorials on YouTube, that is what did you think? Necessity is
The mother of like invention. Yeah.
yeah. So that's what happened with Healthy Resource, which is like, okay, I'm learning about my natural hair. I know there are kids who don't know anything about their natural hair because I just had that experience. And I was also particularly passionate about social issues in general. So in my artwork, I was making conversations about Blackness and womanhood and the social constructs of our society at the time. But I was like, okay, I'm like doing all of this, but like, can I actually make something tangible out of my ideas that would make change? Yes, I'm having conversations, but I actually want to do something. I want to change people's lives. And I decided that adults suck. I don't like them because it's so hard to make adults change their mind. But I was like, if I could have kids develop the right perspective on themselves, let me try that. And so I had this class project where I was taking a traditional image that was like this Eurocentric standard of beauty, like it was Rapunzel, and I turned her into a little sculpture of a Black girl with like kiki curly natural hair. And that is where I got the idea for the doll. And then having this conversation on Facebook, like we're having now, where we're talking about like, okay, what did you do with your hair growing up? And like not having dolls that had our hair, or our noses, or our lips, or our skin tones, any of these things. And that's so my natural hair journey tied into my need to express my, like, I don't even know how to describe it, like just the things I cared about in art and then wanting to have an impact. So that's how I ultimately ended up choosing to create a doll. And I wanted to see how far I could get with it, because when you're in college, you never really know what could happen. You have these big ideas and maybe it works out, maybe it doesn't. And it just so turned out that mine ended up landing in Target one day.
And it just so turned out casually dropped. No, but I think that's so true. And so I have a master's in education. It's college student affairs administration. But like one of the things we talked about in our development classes, to your point, is, that there's different saliency points where things can really, settle in for kids as we are on our transition and journeys to adulthood. I think it's like when you're 5 and like in those early stages, that's when you're super malleable. You're just absorbing all the information. Then another touch point is middle school, where interests really start to stick. And I love that you were just able to come to that and be like, I'm observing the world around me, and what I'm seeing up there, like further ahead, it's not looking too shiftable, but how do I change the mind to impact generations going forward, right? And a lot of parents, and like not even parents, but tangential community members are impacted by their kids. Like I have goddaughters. When I see them learning new things, I'm like, oh, well, tell me more, right? Because I want to care about what they care about. So you found a way.
What did Miss Rachel teach you today?
No, exactly. What's happening at your pre-K? Who got in trouble? That's crazy. Are you doing the same thing? But like you found a way to hit at the heart of an issue by hitting at what hit people's hearts. And I just think that that's so innovative and brilliant in that regard too. I was recently watching the Black Barbie documentary just because I was like, I really need to sit down and absorb this. And I was listening, and I had a couple Barbies, but I was popping heads off of mine. So I was not attached to them. I was very rough. Like in the Barbie movie, that scary Barbie, that was probably mine. But one of the things that I was noticing when they were all talking, they were talking about even when they had the Black Barbies come out, they would try and like put grease in their hair and do all these other things to them, right? Like they weren't necessarily made to style, but that's what people were trying to do anyway. And so for you, like not only did you create this Black doll, right, but you went through the next steps of making it something that we could wash, that we could care for. You made it a learning tool, essentially, right? And experiential learning is something that's so important, especially at those younger ages, right? Like that's how you come to understand the world. And so talk to me a little bit about that decision, not only to make this Black doll, but to make it really a learning tool for kids.
Yeah, I think when it comes to having an idea, just the way that I was raised, like my parents always taught me, like, if you're going to do something, do it like all the way, do it right. And so I didn't want to just make another Black doll. Like, yes, technically there were Black dolls with brown skin, some dolls with the right features that weren't essentially Eurocentric, but I didn't want to just create another doll painted brown. I wanted to actually solve a problem that I didn't see already being addressed. So the fact that I wanted young Black girls to learn how to love their curls. How do you teach young Black girls to love their curls? You help them understand their hair. You will help them see that they're beautiful. Okay, how can you impact children, help them see that they're beautiful and learn to love their curls? You can use toys, you can influence the adults around them, and you can influence their media. So I chose to influence them through the products that they were using. And I dolls, because I'm sure you know this study, the Mamie Clark doll test, and they showed that Black and white children overwhelmingly ascribe negative attributes to the Black baby doll versus the white baby doll. And it's like, okay, if we can diversify toy shelves and diversify children's play and make them see these dolls as beautiful, because toys influence how kids think, act, and see themselves, I can then change the way young girls see themselves through this doll. So let's focus on the hair, especially because in media at the time, there wasn't a lot of representation for natural hair. I still want to see more cornrows and, Afro-textured looks on runways, but it's way more than it was before.
Absolutely.
Way more. And so I like to think that Healthy Results is contributing to that for young girls, showing, because now we have dolls with different skin tones, different facial features, and different hair textures than what we started with. And little girls saying like, wow, this looks like me. And like wanting to do matching hairstyles with their doll, doing wash day with their doll, putting grease in the doll's hair, all that fun stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. That just makes my heart so happy because I'm sitting here just like, you know what I mean? Like, if only. So I appreciate it's like giving back what we needed, right? Like, if only I had a doll that I did wash day with, instead of just being like, well, they'll never be like me. So who even cares about them having a very horrible, like, stuff? Like, we'll just make our own play. But I was reading and you gave a quote in like one of the interviews that you did, and you were saying like, our hair is not difficult. We're just being difficult on our hair. And
yeah,
I think, for so many of people that are going through transitions, even at our age, and learning to embrace their natural hair, like I hear this language all the time, like, my hair is difficult. It's like hard for me to work with. It's hard for me to manage. And so I love that for kids, like kids that embrace the healthy results, they're not growing up with that mindset, right? Like ideally, because they're already being conditioned and trained to understand, like, this is what the maintenance takes. This is what, like, time it looks like, right? So that's already built into their constructs of what it means to care for their hair. And it makes it, like, it's all perception, right? Like, it makes it something that they're more open and receptive to.
I really struggle whenever I see videos on TikTok and like, or just on social media, just the conversation, my hair is so difficult, my hair is so difficult, my hair is so dry. And often still, like, I'll check myself because I'm currently going through like a hair transition where like I was anemic and like I had low iron and all that impacts your hair. And it's like stopping myself from being like, hair is so difficult. Like, no, girl, you need a trim. It's been more than 5 days since you last washed it. It's a little dry. Like, there's a reason. Like, and so understanding that it's like not just going, my hair is just difficult and hard to manage. It's like, no, these are the tools you need to manage it.
Yeah.
And like, this is how you should frame that experience. And like, I actually saw a tweet yesterday that I actually responded to because they were like, do you consider your wash day like your self-care day? And I'm like, yes, that's exactly what I treat it as. I'm doing my everything shower.
Yes.
I'm doing mask. I'm doing my nails, the little eye mask. I'm doing everything. I'm doing a pedicure. Like, I might put some pressed white strips on. I'm doing everything. This is my personal day. It's like a spa day. That's how, and it's the experience you should have.
No, I completely agree. I'm like, I have my robe on. I have my head wrap up. I'm making my little aloe vera or my bentonite clay. Have my favorite nail polish colors. And I agree. And it took me a while to get there too. But once I was just like, if I am committing to having healthy hair, right? Because it's really a part of my body. So it's another way that I'm like prioritizing health of myself. Like, I just got to find a way to make this fun. So whenever I do my hair, like I put on a movie, I'm like, we're going to sit here and we're just going to twist. And what's the latest movie that I want to watch? Or like, what's a movie that I'm familiar with and I want to rewatch, And I just like have that be my time, knowing that if I don't get it anywhere else, I'm going to get it here. And, that's just kind of how I choose to embrace it.
People are so gagged whenever I tell them I do my own hair because they've seen all the hairstyles I have. And they're like, you did those knotless braids. You did that crochet set. You did this. I'm like, yes. And I watched a whole series that I wanted to watch while I did it. Like, it is fun for me. You should be having fun.
Yeah. No, it's incorporating that layer of joy, right? And that element of like learning. I think for a lot of people, which your dolls are really helping to combat, which the educator in me really loves, but like for a lot of people, it's not fun to be new at something. And when you're learning, a lot of times you're new at something, right? And so it's like, I want to be good at these things, but the challenge, especially as you get older, you're so used to being in your own pattern. Sometimes it's hard to break out of those things, but it's like, how do you do those insertions of joy? So even though you're new, it doesn't feel as bad. It's like, dang, okay, like this might not be the best, but I'm gonna have this treat when I'm done, or like I'm gonna watch this thing. Like, how do you infuse the two?
The reward.
Yeah.
Well, I guess for me, the reward of me getting better at doing my hair was that my hair is going to look better. I can do whatever I want. And there's this whole conversation online in the natural hair space about, the conflict between customers and hairstylists with like cost to get their hair done and the time it takes and all this. And like, if you are your own hairstylist, nobody can send you a Hey Boo check. And that's what I'd be telling people. Will you have the ability to do your own hair? It's not going to look perfect the first time, but you will get better and you're your own beautician. You're the only one stopping yourself from doing your own hair.
And oftentimes it looks better than we think. Like I've had a couple of friends, they've been like, I tried this new thing, and then they go out in the world and they get compliments. And I'm like, see, all you have to do is leave your house. Yeah. All you have to do is leave your house and find out that the world is not as harsh to you as you are sometimes. We're our own biggest critics. So
yeah,
with that being the case, right? Like in Healthy Roots dolls, you talked about the doll test, and now it's been in the market. How have you seen kids reacting and responding? I know like the feedback has been there. So what does that look like for you? And how does it feel like seeing the feedback?
It's really cool, just all the kids that are falling in love with it and saying how much they love the dolls and how beautiful they are. And it looks I think you'll see a lot online. Like, she said it looks just like me. And I'm like, that's all you can really ask for. So the fact that the people are discovering it on retail shelves and or just from friends, because kids are bringing their toys around or they want to have matching dolls, I think that's really cool. So I think it's been received bigger than I could have ever imagined, because for a while it was a class project and an idea versus now it's like strangers and people I've never met before who are falling in love with the product without having even talked to me.
Oh, that's very true. So then with Healthy Roots dolls, I know it's already expanded beyond your wildest imaginations, right? But what does diversity continue to look like for you all? Is there evolving diversity in more textures, including boy dolls? I'm just, kind of throwing things out here, but curious for you, getting to this point, what's on your mind in terms of diversity for Healthy Roots dolls now and going forward?
Yeah, I think the goal for any brand that wants to represent people on toy shelves or just in their product, in their space, is to just be open to new ideas and what could be next. I have no idea what's next. Yeah, I think we could really do anything. And I would hope to see the brand continue to expand across categories and representing different people and all and even beyond dolls. Who knows?
Yeah, I think that's really honest, right? Because sometimes it's being open to what people need, right? Like you saw a need and you met that need that you knew that yourself and other kids coming behind you would need. And now it's okay, what does the next generation need? What is that? Is there more learning? Is there more expansion of dolls? What are those processes? And sometimes the best thing to do is listen and observe and see what the market is saying. So I can't wait to see what that looks like for you guys. We kind of talked about this a little bit with the difficulty of hair, but are there any other misconceptions that you think still exist surrounding natural hair and Black beauty that you're working to create those early experiences to combat?
No, I think for me, what I would like to see is I'd like to see further education.
Yeah.
I want to see the information that's out there reaching people, because there are still people who don't know that you can have dermatitis on your scalp, and that might be one of the issues. You might have a scalp condition, you might be anemic, you might have something internally that's affecting you externally. And also, I feel like with all the influencers we have and all the content we have, the fact that there are people who are still struggling with their hair and don't see how beautiful it is really frustrating. And so I want that information to reach them. So it's I guess one of the things I can say is if you want to make that content, don't feel like there's not an opportunity for you to educate another person, and please do that.
No, I think that's so honest and true, right? Because even in my learning process and the learning of a lot of other people I've talked to, you're going down a funnel and you're trying to also go through these YouTube channels, go through all these polls, and then figure out what's honest, right? And what's true and what's actually helpful. And then maybe what's not going to be the most impactful for you. And sometimes it can really feel like information overload, or which can cause people to shut down from the experience. So that education component, I think, is always, always big. And we learn through so many different places. We learn through stories, which is why I have this podcast, for people to come on and share their stories. We learn through watching, we learn through those shared experiences. And the landscape of hair has changed. I know when I do see my stylist, I'm in a little booth. It's me and her. There's not other people that I can talk to. So creating those educational spaces and environment is something that is always on my mind and I think is important for the natural hair landscape really to kind of continue to evolve and not devolve, for lack of a better word, but to keep people kind of encouraged and motivated in community.
Yeah.
So question for you kind of regarding your hair and showing up in these spaces, right? Like you're a founder, you're showing up in all these big rooms. And I talk to people who feel like, and this is kind of shifting more into the adult side of the house, right? I talk to people all the time who feel like they're nervous about showing up with their natural hair in these professional spaces. And so curious for your opinion, being one of the first 100 Black women to raise $1 million in venture capital, right? Like that's no small feat. So just celebrating you in that. But what advice would you give to those who are questioning showing up in professional environments with their natural hair, having just navigated that experience?
So my natural hair experience is a little bit different. I just kind of always done what I wanted.
Yeah.
I remember when I first started growing out my natural hair, I was like putting it up in this little fro hawk with like these bleached ends and just like pushing it this little pompadour.
Yeah.
And then after that, I was just like wearing this fro that was just like puffed out. So like I didn't know how to do a wash and go. And then after that, I started wearing crochet.
Yeah.
Which was like so fun because I could do different colors. And then I was doing Havana twist. And then I was doing rainbow braids.
Twist era.
That's a fun. I still wear it. That is my go-to. I just took some out like last week. I love them.
Yeah.
And like now, because like I travel so much and because I am dealing with a scalp condition, I honestly just wear a ton of wigs.
Yeah.
And I love them. And it is really, really fun. But I always choose like big hair.
Yeah.
I love big, textured, giant hair. I don't know why other people don't like it as much. Like I just see a lot of buff down middle part, which is like cool. Like
yeah,
every time.
Yeah.
But big hair looks good too. And so can't tell people that they shouldn't do something or that they should do something because we cannot deny that there is still bias.
Yep.
But I will say I do not feel like me wearing big, giant, curly hair has ever stopped me from opportunities that work for me.
Mic drop, period.
Personally.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate too, because some people, or at least I've heard in the ethers, in the natural hair ethers, right? Like it seems like there's sometimes one way to do natural. Like it has to be your hair. You have to be able to do a wash and go. You have to be like, the narrative can kind of push people to feel like there's one right way to do natural. But I love what you said. It's like, I'm wearing wigs right now because I'm caring for my scalp. I'm managing, navigating this experience. It's not the only style that I've ever worn. I've shown up, but I also know how to do my hair. Like I've taken the time to learn how to do it. I've taken the time, like I'm embracing wigs right now, but nothing is really off limit. And I think like that's really a beautiful thing, right? Like it's whatever you need to show up, but knowing that nothing is off limits unless we, choose to do that ourselves. But like considering
I'm wearing every single one of my little clown wigs to whatever meeting I want to wear.
Not a little clown wig. I think we're
no, because it's this one round one and it's like fluffy and like it's just like it's so cute. I love it.
I'm screaming. One of my wine sisters a couple of years ago, she's like the queen of wigs, and she like had a nice little like pro wig that was perfectly shaped like that, and she wore it like everywhere. She had different colors, like salt and pepper ones, and my mom would always be like, "Yeah, so what's her hair like now?" I'm like, "Who's to say? I'll tell you when I see her." But I think that's so fun, right? Like just infusing it with a little more elements of fun and a little bit less of like the limitations, I think can really open and expand our minds as we trial and error and experiment in our adult lives, right? Like experimenting with our own selves.
Yeah. Try it. I just want people to try things. Well, not be afraid to try.
Yes. I feel like there's this movie I used to watch all the time growing up, Spanglish. But in the movie, like the lady's like, just try it on. I feel like that's it with your hair. Just try it.
Try it.
Yes. Yes. I always say that to myself. And when I'm trying to do something, I'm like, just try it on, Shannon. Just try it on. So it's like the same thing with your hair. Try on a new look. Try on a new style. Try on a new wig. So
I've had 2 styles that I tried on that I'm going to be honest, they didn't work.
And that's okay.
But it's okay. Because like I did a crochet braid set where one side was red and one side was yellow. And I intentionally did it to do ketchup and mustard.
So I was giving too much on it.
It was too much. And then the second one is, and I know people love them, I did like the fake locks, but not the ones that everyone else is doing. Yeah. They actually looked like soft, fluffy locks, and you would pull your braid through the middle of them. And I was like, you know what? I am not giving Rihanna in Ocean's whatever movie she was in. This
Ocean's 11, Ocean's 8. She looked great in that movie.
Something.
Shout out to you, Rihanna. You looked great in that.
I couldn't pull it off. And I was like, you know what? Now I know locks are not for me.
Yeah. And I think that's the beauty of trial and error. It's like, I can say that I tried and I might never do that again. We are not revisiting it. However, there are going to be a few that are hits, right? Like we got our hit and we got our never looking back.
Our experiment six, what's it called? 626?
Yeah. And all the other ones that came before. So being the founder of Healthy Roots Dolls and seeing kids just navigate and embrace your natural hair, what are the biggest tips that you would share with those preparing the next generation to love and embrace their own natural hair?
That's a really big question, especially given that I do not have a professional background as an educator or a researcher on kid development.
Yeah.
I'm also not a parent yet.
Yeah.
So I cannot confidently answer that and say like, this is what I do with kids. This is what I believe, but I can give my opinion.
Yeah.
And some of the things that I do, I lead by example, which is like my bravery, like just the confidence that I have to exist in the way that I want. I believe that sets an example for children. And when I get compliments from little girls, I know I'm doing it. I know I'm doing what I need to be doing. I'm like, oh, she means that. Because kids can say whatever they want, but she thinks I look good and she likes my hair. And it's so supportive. And the other thing is like the way that I speak to children and like putting that light into them. So whenever I see little girls, I'm like, oh, wow, your hair is so cute. Like, and just the way that we talk to children is so important. So like being very encouraging and affirming of like who they are. Actually had recently talked about, and this is not related to hair, but more body image. My dad, when I was younger, just pulled me aside and was like, you're never going to be skinny. Look at our family. We do not make skinny people. Do not worry about what other people look like. You look the way you need to look and your body is doing what it needs to do. And like, I have never felt any type of way about what I look like or my body weight or anything. And mind you, there are people losing their mind, because they feel this pressure. And so I think when we have those conversations with kids and we set that example through how we live, like the way that we wear our hair and like what we do when we go to the beauty salon and how we do their hair and how we speak when we do their hair and not calling their hair difficult and saying how beautiful it is and showing them how much fun they can have with it. That is how we set the example for them.
Yes, I love it. I love it. Honestly, I think you gave a solid answer for that one from your experience, right? Creating things that encourage them to empower themselves. So then our final question as we wrap down, my favorite one is if you could say one affirmation to your hair right now, what would it be?
I'm doing my best, girl. I'm doing my best.
I don't know what to say. No, that's real. Like, honestly, sometimes like I'm keeping you up there. I'm keeping you attached. I'm keeping you moisturized. We're on this journey called life together. I'm doing my best. And I think that's really honest. And that's beautiful.
Yeah. Because like, my hair journey has not been perfect. I've had to start over. Like it might have been 3 years ago. Like I thought I had retained all this length. I was so proud. And then they blowed my hair out. And they're like, so this is everything that needs to be. And I was like, let me put them trends on my calendar every 3 months.
Every 3 months.
So yeah, I love my hair. I'm having fun with it. I actually just did like some cornrows and I'm going to do a crochet set and I've been doing better and I'm really proud of that. Over the last few years, I've been doing a lot better and I've been learning products. So yeah, I think my affirmation to my hair is like, I'm doing my best,
Yeah.
We in it together, girl.
You're learning, you're showing up, and in the trial and errors, you're continuing to start and restart. And actually, our first podcast episode is about like starting and restarting your natural hair journey because it happens. I think in life, we get so stuck to like, we're going to hit this finite point and it's going to be perfect and we won't have to change anything else. But we go through so many changes. Our body goes through changes. They show up in our hair or random things can happen. I had to restart my hair journey because I got caught by a candle. They had to take a couple inches off. Crazy. But I think so now that has happened to me, I know that it happens to a lot of people.
Hair is
flammable people. Hair is flammable people. But so like unexpected things happen, but all we can do is our best, show up, start and restart and encourage, educate and empower ourselves too, the same way that your dolls are doing for the next generation.
If I could say one more thing, I would say one thing that I'm proud of myself and with my hair is like, I've never felt the pressure to compare my hair to other people's. And that's one thing I think we should all start doing is like, stop worrying about what's going on with other people's hair. Because you don't even know if that's their hair. You don't know what's going on. you need to worry about your hair. And like, you can't just look at the product somebody else is using, or do what is best for your hair. And that means understanding how to grow healthy hair, like keeping your scalp healthy and being mindful of what you're eating. But just the comparison is going to steal your joy and prevent you from loving your hair where it's at.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. That's so good. One of the things I always think about, like, especially in this YouTube era, right, where you can go and find all this information, it's like you can look at something for like, how do I do this technique, right? Like maybe find inspiration for a technique and education and understanding. But outside of that, you got to leave it there and say, like, the look might not be the same look. We don't all have the same curls. We don't have the same textures. You know, like there's so much difference in natural hair, which is beautiful. And so it's like, find inspiration, right? But don't let that be your source or your goal, right? Like let your own goal.
Take the knowledge.
Yep.
Just take the knowledge.
Absolutely. Take the knowledge. That's it. All right. And on that note, I'm going to wrap up our episode and just say, Yelitsa, thank you so much for joining, for sharing your story, for sharing your knowledge with us. And for those that are listening, remember that until next time, all hair is good hair and your hair is good hair. And take this episode to someone else who you think would really enjoy hearing about Yelitsa and her hair journey.